Senator Alex Antic, thank you so much for joining us here on the Aussie Wire. We're at the launch of the Alliance for Responsible Citizenship, but one thing that's really caught my attention is the fact that it feels like we've all flown halfway around the world to get together when we could have just booked a pub in Burke or something like that. Why are there so many Aussies here?
Yeah, we could have, but I don't know anyone would have shown up then. We had to come all the way around the world to make sure we saw each other. There's 140 Aussies here apparently. It feels like 140,000. I don't know. I guess we're all worried by the same things. I think many of us lived through the last 3 years and thought, hang on, something's wrong.
Yeah.
But what's been really interesting is how consistent that concern is. I was talking to someone this morning about all the things that we've been manifesting on ourselves, that when we've talked about, you and I before. And here we are in London and people are saying the same thing with a slightly different theme. So I just think it represents the concern that's out there among the quiet Australians and their leaders to try to connect with other people who are having the same. We wouldn't call it an existential crisis, but we'll call it a sort of a thought crisis. And what do we do?
Yeah.
There's a problem. What do we do? How do we make sure that we continue to pay homage to the things which have served us so well?
Well, the theme of this Alliance for Responsible Citizenship launch is a better story. Have all these Aussies come chasing a better story? What's the story that we're looking for?
I guess I like the logo actually. I like the theme. It's been a lot like that. It's been a story about how we got here and the economic future. And I don't know if we need a better story. I think we just need to honour the one that was already serving us pretty well. For me, the last day or so has been further proof that we shouldn't shy away from the things which made Australia great. And we do it too often. So it's a good reminder. You and I and others, Rukshan and others and all the people here don't need that reminder, but we have to find ways to honour that. And we need practical solutions as well, right? So these talk fests are great, but what do we do when we go home? And people have got to put rubber on the road. And I want to see more of it out of politics. We need to be bold.
Can I put you on the spot a little bit? I'm being a little bit subversive here, but you're a Liberal Party senator, senator for South Australia, and you do a wonderful job. Now, within the Liberal Party, there is a tension. That's no secret. There is a tension, particularly around things like net zero, whether we need to be pursuing those sorts of objectives or whether we should reject them outright, or whether there's some middle road that should be pursued. My interpretation is that the presence of so many Liberal Party members of Parliament here, is only going to increase those tensions. What do you think the impact of this is going to be back home?
I don't know that it will. I mean, we have, there's no secret, we have a divergence of views inside the party.
Sure.
We show it publicly. I think that's the beauty of it, where the Labor Party has the same ructions, but you don't see it because they're essentially controlled organisations. So I actually think that's pretty healthy. And there are a range of views about net zero. Mine is that it's an absolute load of rubbish. And that it is nothing but a slogan and it's harmful to Australia. And I've said it time and time again, we should be only doing what puts Australia first. And net zero is a globalist agenda that doesn't put Australia first. So that would be presumably something that would fly in the face of the views of other members of the party, and that's fine, that's okay. It's a contest of ideas, it should be, and it should be a respectful one. But I don't think anything we've seen here today would have any influence on that. I think we are really just seeing people talking about the sorts of things that are probably already on the map at home. I don't think the net zero conundrum is a new thing by any stretch.
Sure. So a break has just started, and the background noise the background noise is picked up. So apologies.
At least you know this is not AI generated.
No, that's right. That's right. Now I do want to come back to something you mentioned a moment ago, which is having something like this make a difference in the real world. One of the criticisms that I think has at least some validity is that the people up on stage and many of the people in the audience and many of the organisers would fall into the category of elites, whether because of their financial means, their influence, the power, the levers of power that they have access to. Yourself included, you're an elected member of Parliament. You would fit in that category. Why are these elites any better? Why can these be trusted any more than, for example, the elites at the World Economic Forum and the UN?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think there has to be a range of people positioned in society. I don't know if I'd say elites here. I mean, I think people here are sort of focused on the sorts of things that made countries like Australia great. But you would wonder whether someone who was working hard as they should be in Australia as a tradie or something, would have any, whether this would relate to that person. Now, I don't know, but what I would say is that people who are, and I wouldn't think of myself as an elite by any stretch of the imagination, but we need. I think politics has got to find a way to relate to people at street level, because that's been part of the problem. Part of the problem, and I've said it since time immemorial. Part of the problem politics has had on both sides, and that includes my own, is that it has become a political bubble. We have created a swamp. The Labor Party used to do it where they would take trade unionists, they'd go and work for a minister, they then become the member, and then they would go off and work for a super fund. And the Liberal Party's done it as well. We've taken staffers who've gone on to become members, who then go off and become lobbyists.
Yeah.
So that is the challenge in politics: is how do we take ideas that need to be ventilated in a forum like this and make them relevant for people? And that's the reality. Most people don't care. Most people don't care what you and I might think about. Milne or a philosopher but they are important issues. They've got to be talked about. And then we've got to, as I said from the get-go, we've got to find practical solutions and ways of turning that into real-world wins. Like, what does it mean today for cost of living at home? And I think they are interrelated. The net zero example, net zero has, as a concept, has raised the price of power in Australia. So that has an impact at the dining room table back in Collingwood.
Well, Senator Alex Antic, thank you so much for speaking to us here on the Aussie Wire.
It's great to be here, Topher. Yeah, thank you.
Well, we're going to be watching very closely to make sure that the ARC lives up to its ideals. And I'm going to say so far so good, but we won't stop keeping an eye on them.
Yeah, it's good on you. Great to be here, and you guys are doing a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.